last time we were here, and no one's going to get to hear it, but we talked about the philosophy of war.
Yeah, just war theory.
Do you want to get back into that? I would love to.
Yeah, sure.
Um, let's give a little footnote for the listeners who have no idea what we're talking about. So last time we were here, we were arguing about what most wars are not just, and then the definition of just based on that definition of a just war. So here's what I was saying. I was saying that one, most wars are not only economic problems. They are based on a fundamental problem with humans interacting with other humans and culture. Two, if you say that just is the manner of acting morally, that does not mean it means acting rationally, because it could be rational, but you can be rational but immoral, or irrational and moral. That's what we were talking about. Go.
Yeah, I agree. It's not in war, and this idea is from that book, The Abolition of Man, I was telling you about. It's rational to abandon the foxhole, but there's something that keeps you there, some sort of pride, national pride, something, but it's not rational to stay in the foxhole and keep fighting through the winter. Keep the stalemate up for 6 months of -0 temperature or below 0 temperature. So I totally agree with you. Morality and rationality are divorced. Most wars probably are unjust, but I think we talked about, no, we didn't actually, the Sunni and the Shia, two different groups and two different Muslim groups who war with each other, and it's not based on economy, it's just cultural or religious difference. So yeah, I totally agree. I think that's where we ended up.
So here's the thing that strikes me as odd about Hitler in World War II. So you would say the rational move during World War II is, if you want to win, this is not my argument, this is argument of people way smarter than me, so if I botch it, I apologize. But it does make me think. Basically, number one is you don't invade Russia in the winter, especially when you have a peace pact with them. And two, you make your slaves in the concentration camps work for you. You don't speed up the genocidal process. You slow down the genocide, you win the war, then you do genocide. But instead, Hitler and the Nazis sped up the genocide when they were losing and then invaded Stalin. So it was almost like he didn't even rationalize his immoral stance. He was irrational and immoral. He just wanted to do the most destruction.
Yeah, and that's why he comes up in every argument on the internet. Like, he's used as the archetypical bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Hitler comes up. What's the law called? There's some law in logic where Hitler will come up after 20 minutes in an argument on the internet. But he's the guy. He's the one you always say, like we were talking about moral relativism and absolute morality last time. Well, if you have relativism in your morality, then you can justify anything, like the genocide, or the Holocaust. So Hitler always comes up. He's the archetypical bad guy. It's probably because he was acting, aside from genocide, but he's acting immorally and irrationally, and that's repulsive to all human instinct, right?
And here's the thing about Stalin and even Mao, to an extent, somebody could make the argument that they were more evil than Hitler.
For sure.
But they were, in their own set of ideologies, rational. They made rationality, this is for the Communist Party. This is the new Great Leap, or whatever you call it, the Great Leap Forward. They rationalized their violence, and they did it through a doctrine that had already been called a science in the 19th century. So they rationalized their immoral stances, whereas Hitler was irrational, immoral, and evil, and he stood for everything that everyone was against.
Yeah, really interesting. I had never thought about that. When it comes up here and there, I've wondered why or how Stalin and Mao got away with it. And they did some evil shit. I mean, a ton of evil shit. Really horrifying stuff. And how would they get away with it? And if it really is just that they did it for a reason, that's really troubling to me.
Well, the craziest thing that I've ever heard about was in East Berlin, in East Germany, when the Communist Party was had control over it. 1 out of 3 people were spies, Soviet spies. That means if you have a family of 6, 2 people in your family are spying on you, your brother or your dad, you know?
Awful.
Horrifying. Everybody was lying about everything.